Hello and welcome back to Tea and Tea with G. But
check the mug.
Okay, can I just do the intro, Dad?
Oh, nice.
Okay, yes, we get it. You're a Liverpool fan. But today's Tea and
All the teams are available.
I'm not joking.
All right, go on.
Honestly, amateurs. But anyway, as I was saying,
but not as good. Go on.
Oh my gosh, honestly.
All right.
For today's T&T, I'm not just on my own. I've been joined by my dad.
The one and only.
Yes, the one and only. You may have seen him before on my channel. We did a makeup video. So, you know, if you want to ever check that out, it's there. It's embarrassing.
That's why she looks like this now. Looks good because she learned all makeup off me.
Yeah, that's why. That's
100%.
why. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. As you've probably seen by the title, today we are going to be talking about race, which is obviously a very important subject to us. And we're going to be talking about what it was like growing up in the UK. This is kind of like a series I want to do. I'm going to tell my story and then talk to other people, but for today I wanted to talk to my dad. It's just going to be an open, honest discussion, and yeah, hopefully you can, I don't know, learn something, or maybe this you can resonate with and, you know, you can relate to, I don't know, but we just, on this channel I want to be open and honest, and sometimes it'll be funny videos, sometimes it's going to be serious videos, but yeah, anyway, before I keep rambling, let's just get into the video. So I have some questions prepared to keep us on track, because we all know I love to chat.
Yes, we know that, and we know she gets that from her mother.
So you don't like to chat?
No. Okay
then. Okay, so for the first question, I guess I wanted to say, everyone obviously is prepared, I don't know about, obviously you've told us, you almost prepare your children that not everyone is nice. Do you know what I mean? When you're going to school and stuff. But when was the first, time that you noticed for yourself, racism, someone being racist, or, do you know what I mean?
Growing up, we grew up in, if people don't know, we grew up in a place called Liverpool. Hence why the club that I support. I just have to mention it now and again.
Oh my gosh, all the time.
We grew up in it, and we lived in an area which was about two and a half miles from a place called Toxteth in Liverpool. Now, Toxteth was a predominantly black area, but the area that we lived in was Egbrith, and that was predominantly white area that we lived in. So we were always surrounded. It was just my family in Egbrith and another family that were mixed, that had a mixed race dad and mixed race kids. So, you know, ever since I've grown up in being in Liverpool, I've not known to not know racism. But my parents protected us well. People liked us in our area. Even though there was many people that were racist, it just seemed a little bit like they were proud to have us as their blacks.
Really?
As the black family, yeah.
Really?
And they would say there are blacks, you know. So
even that phrase is but I noticed actually, this is a bit off topic, but I was watching a program on Netflix, Girlfriends. If you've seen it, oh my gosh, then tell me in the comments, because it's amazing. If you haven't, watch it on Netflix. But just how different it is now, with things that are PC and stuff, and obviously what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say. And I think this is really good, why I wanted to bring my dad on, because there's also a difference in generational.
Yeah, totally.
What was allowed and what isn't allowed now, and yeah, that whole.
It's not that it was allowed.
No, not allowed.
It was just that it was just no one batted an eyelid. So when you couldn't go to the police station or you couldn't complain in school when somebody called you
really
a nigger or, you know, a black this, you know, I mean, it's just.
Because that was going to lead on to my next question,
You know what I mean? Even though at the age of probably 11, 12, that's when I really stopped. Like, me and my brothers and my sisters really, like, at the age of probably 11, when I went to high school, that's when, you know, it started to affect me in a big way, because in the school that I went to, there was like a black gang, and you either hung around with black people or you hung around with white people. Well, I didn't. I did neither. I hung around with both because I lived in a white area. So I hung around with both, and I got on with both. So I was somewhat of an enigma, because people see me, the black crew see me as some sort of intermediate, you know, that I could just get on with both. But saying that, if someone did call me an offensive name or said the N-word or anything, mate, I would. It's the first time that I really would feel aggrieved in that sense.
Because what I was going to say as well is, obviously, when you're in high school, that's the time when you're trying to fit in, and you're, I don't know, for me, I was quite a sheep at school, and I never really wanted to say anything, or like if someone was rude, because I was like, but what is that? How does that going to make me look? Like, I don't want them to like not like me because I don't like what they say, which is crazy to think about now. But would you stand up for yourself and be like, what are you saying? Like, how would you say that? I
wouldn't just stand up for myself, I'd stand up for other people, whether it be white or black. You know, in my school, I was, you know, even when, I think God had his hand on me from an early age, because I just hate being a strong word, I disliked injustice of any form. So whether it was racism, I didn't like it. Whether it was somebody being a bully to someone, whether you're white or black, you know, I couldn't stand it. So I disliked with a passion injustice, and I stood against that. And so for me, you know, my parents brought me up to know what right was, know what wrong is, and I just lived by that code, as well as, you know, being a Christian, even though I didn't follow it at that age. I knew about God, and I knew about principles and having a faith, but it was, I suppose, knowing what was right and what was wrong, and, you know, that fuse that sort of like passion to stand up for justice.
Yeah, that's... Oh, it's like refreshing, like even talking about it, because it's like different viewpoints, and obviously I'm mixed race, and my mum's white, so obviously our experiences are going to be different, and also the whole generational thing. But okay, go on a more light-hearted.
Yeah.
What is like one of your fondest memories of like school and growing up? Because obviously, like, not everything is bad, you know. Like, yes, we are aware that we are black, and sometimes people can be rude and not particularly nice, but that doesn't mean to say that there aren't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
One of my
fondest
fondest memories was having a teacher. His name was, and it was alien to me. But when the first sort of like Asian teacher came into my school, so there was an Asian teacher and there was a music teacher, that was black as well. So there was an Asian teacher and there was a black music teacher, and Mr. Singh was just brilliant, because he understood me, even though I couldn't stand geography. I just used to go to the lessons because of him. You know, he was someone different. He was like me. Same with the music lesson. You know, I just loved being around them teachers, because it was I'd never seen it. There were the only two teachers in my school that were like not white, and so they could understand what we went through, and they were on the level. You know, I used to get told off a lot by them because I was mischievous, but I loved being mischievous as well in school. I used to get up. Oh, you know the stories. I used to get up to some.
Oh my gosh, I have to talk
I did like school. I liked school for the wrong reasons, though. You know, I liked school because I could hang out with my mates. I could do stuff like and get away with stuff that
honestly, some of the stories
proper other people wouldn't probably get away with. But we won't go into that.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, did people use the word like black? Like, you know when people describe someone, like a lot of the time when I was growing up, people would describe every other feature but the fact that they were black. Like, oh, you know, or like coloured or half caste.
They'd use coloured, they'd use brown, they wouldn't use the word black. They would think that you'd get offended.
Yeah.
Coloured was the word.
Yeah.
Half caste was another word.
Yeah, I got that.
There was no mixed race. It was either black.
And I didn't even realise it was a bad term.
Mixed race people were classed as being black. They weren't classed as being white as well.
Really?
They were in our camp. They weren't classed as being white. Not in my school anyway, and not in where we grew up. They were like, nah, you're on that side of the fence. You know, really? So but yeah. And I think mixed race people would class themselves as being black for that reason. You know, or more being black. But this is because I hung around with people that were mixed race, people that were black, and people that were white. So I was a leader rather than I didn't follow people around. We had a gang, and people used to meet at my house. When I say gang, not a gang. Yeah, gang. It was a crew. It was like boys that hung out, and there was girls. My sister's mates, they hung out with us as well. So they used to all meet round my house, and we'd go up and cause mischief. That's how it was. Black and white together. But even my mates' parents, who were white, they were racist, and their kids, the guys that I hung around with, they used to say they couldn't understand why their parents were like that. And because my parents, all my mates would come into our house and they'd have dinner, and they just couldn't understand or fathom why. And it was just the generation that we grew up in at that time.
Okay, so we'll probably wrap it up, but we might do a part 2 or whatever, because I don't want it to be too long, but still it's good to have these conversations. Was there any bit of you that was not nervous, but apprehensive about, because obviously your children are half black.
Yeah.
Obviously we grew up in a white area. Was there any bit of you that was nervous, oh gosh, what if they experience some of
No, only when they did experience it, because you're in a nature. So I never ever worried about living in any area where all the areas that we've lived in is predominantly white. And I've only worried when my kids have experienced it, because I know what my feelings are towards something that's unjust, and I can rear up. And it doesn't happen very often, but yeah, that's the only time where I've felt a little nervous, because you never know what's going to happen in that moment. You know, you protect your kids, you protect your wife, you know, you protect your family, and you know what, you're going to stand up for them, you're going to do what is right for them, but you would do almost anything, you know. And having a faith helped me as well, because sometimes you can't help, you can't control what people do, and sometimes you have to walk away, and that is hard.
Would you say you're more, not fearful, because we don't live in fear, but obviously you said you're not nervous, but do you think there is a thing where it's more of an issue for males rather than females? So would you be more worried for Zakaya as opposed to the girls, or all the same really?
I think girls being black and being female have probably a harder, because you got the whole factor of one being a woman, two being being black, you know, it factors into a lot of things. For girls, for blokes, you know, they usually get more abuse because people feel that they can take it. So the only time I'd worry is how he would react to that when he's older. So,
but we have Jesus, so
yeah.
that.
But stand up for
yeah,
righteousness and justice.
Exactly.
In a godly and a biblical way. And even sometimes, you know, even when you don't feel like it, and there's been a lot of times that I've not felt like it, and there's a lot of times that I've probably gone over the edge and done things that probably, and said things in the heat of the moment because of the injustice that I shouldn't have said. You know, we're all human. I'm not saying it's right. Well, I'm telling you it's not right, but in the heat of battle, in the heat of the moment, you know, that's who I am.
Well, on that note, thanks so much for coming on. This is obviously a conversation, like, race is something that has always been going on, like the conversation, and, you know, and obviously with, you know, George Floyd and everything that happened a few months ago, the conversation has stirred back up again. But it's important to keep having these conversations and keep educating people. And if we don't speak up, how are people gonna know how we feel, or vice versa? If, like, other people, you know, it's just really important to be open and honest. So, you know, that's what we want to do.
If anyone's got any questions as well, or anyone wants to find out anything else about my upbringing or what we were like as when we were young,
oh my
kids,
gosh, there's so many stories.
Just flag it up in Georgia and I'll try and answer them. But any questions that you've got about race or anything else to do with this topic, flag it up, and I'm sure George will ask me and we can put it in the comments.
But thanks so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like we said, leave comments below, and, you know, share this video if you want to, subscribe if you want to, there's no pressure, and I hope you have a blessed week.
Big shout going out to David Thompson for the gingerbread tea.
Honestly,
in my Liverpool mug.
So
gingerbread
good.
tea, it's all there.
Good.
Trust me.
And anyway, have a blessed one, and I'll see you again soon. Peace. Bye.
Bless.